What is the title of the park and the theme of the park?
The park is called Strange Aeons. The theme is whatever the fuck this thing is.
Quick question,
There is a
Cat. Was
giant
was that
membrane
inspired
in
by
the
Iron?
landscape.
Uh,
Inspired by what?
Iron Lung? I don't know if you've ever
No,
played
not
that.
at all.
Okay, they have like a blood ocean on
I've
the
heard
map.
of it.
It looked just like that, so that's why I was wondering.
So you were describing this. What
No,
is
no.
this?
Well, the idea for the park is there's this giant membrane in the landscape, so they built a park around it.
So it's relatively safe still, even though this membrane's happening?
Yeah, relatively safe. Don't worry, I put fences around it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's plenty of fences.
How are these synced up so perfectly? Is this any kind of like shoestring, or is it just elevators with
So
stations
each
synced?
layer is a shoestring. I used Bassey's vehicle editor for this, which is very nice. But one issue I had was it does not let you edit subpixel distance values, which most people don't care about that. But for this, that actually mattered because you may notice each segment is numbered. So up to like number 20, 25, for instance, that was a lot of vehicles I had to move into place. Like for each layer, I had to physically move every one of those elevators onto a section of vertical track. And there were times where I'd test it and it would fall out of sync because the sub-pixel distance values were different for the vehicles at the control track. So I had to start that layer over basically. So pretty much this effect right here took like 3 months on its own.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome, though. It pays off. This is like absurd.
Well,
Okay.
it is pretty extreme. I'm never doing it again.
Dang it! I was going to ask you to team up and do this in the next RCC.
What? You want another membrane?
This thing made
Yeah,
me
maybe.
laugh, dude, because I was looking at it on the stream when we were first looking at it. I was like, did he seriously move all of these vehicles? It's like, oh my God, this is awesome. How do you even think of that? Like, what made you decide you wanted to do this? Did you have like a test or you tested somewhere and you're like, maybe I do this 100 more times? Like,
I had a dream about it.
I
That's how
see.
all good ideas come from the dream. Okay, so we're following this coaster. What's this all about?
So I wanted to try this special effect where there were like holograms following the vehicle, pretty much. And basic synchronized station trick. I have those vehicles set to preview mode, the blue flag,
Mm-hmm.
and I did some testing. I found out, thankfully, that will still show up if the track is synchronized. It will still perform like an actual ride, but you'll still see the preview every time if you just leave it that way. So yeah, I made use of that, and that ride has two big launches, so I figured for each launch I wanted to have interaction with that element. So like the second launch here, they fly with the train in formation and then they flop around and do other stupid shit. The first time I wanted it to be kind of dramatic, like they're coming out of this doorway here. I also timed it so they fly into that opening right there as the vehicle goes over.
Yeah, that's amazing. The door effect and them coming out and the coaster running away from them is like Disneyland tier editing and creativity. So that's amazing. Good job.
This
And the
is
doors are
evil.
elevators that open too.
They sure are elevators.
Insane! I love that so much.
And some of my answers are kind of vague sometimes. If it ever seems like I'm not answering the question, the reason I did something was probably because I thought it was cool.
I like the holeless donuts. That's great.
Yeah, so if you scroll left, let's look at that corner right there. Yeah. Yeah, so with this park, I figured, fuck it. I have the world wonder in the center. I'm not really gonna do the theming thing. I kind of suck at doing multiple themes, so yeah, I pretty much just made like a regular ass park around it. Yeah, everything else is normal.
You say
Uh,
that, but we're looking at like a dark ride, and I don't even know what this is. Is that like
it's an
a?
arcade.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I made I put little animations on the machines because I thought it was cool.
Yeah, the
And,
lights
I put
flickering.
tables and shit.
How are the animations done?
So let me pull it up right here. I have it running on my device. One of my new favorite objects. It's an expansion object. Let me select it. Hold on. Cutaway view.
While you're looking that up, we've got a mock Aqua Splash sort of coaster with a rotating station as well. That's really impressive.
Yeah, that was another hard part. I'll get to that in just a second. Let me see. Fuck. Well, I can't remember what this object is called. It's from the future expansion pack. It's like sandstone skyscraper flashing lights or something. With the DKSO version, if you make it invisible, you see just the lights. You can use it for flashing lights and stuff.
That's great. I'm gonna.
Oh yeah.
I've got the camera watching the rotating station. So as one train rotates out, your second
Mhm.
train rotates in, just like the real
Yeah,
ride.
just basic synchronized stations right there. When it stops outside the building, it's actually stopping at a second station. That's the
Oh,
only way to do that. I'm using stations in place of block brakes.
that's a good call.
And this is a
So,
shoestring as well, right?
Yeah. Zoom,
oh
look
my
a bit
gosh,
closer. Let's get a shot of the water splash.
I got
Yeah,
one
this was
earlier. Yeah.
probably the most difficult shoestring ride I've ever done. This thing took me hours, and I had to study for this.
There's a splash. Yeah, that's
So
great.
that weirdness you see on the spike right before it touches down for the splash, it does a vertical track merge right there. I figured out a way to do it. And of course, there's some bullshit going on underneath it. I have like two different control tracks underneath it. Because, once it gets to a certain height, it needs to divert onto a second track so it can do the splash. Because it seems like every time someone tries to make this ride, there's a compromise. Like there's no water splash or they don't use vertical track. I wanted to have both, basically.
That would be a very fun video to see. Oh yeah, there it is. Flipped a little
Hmm.
bit. That'd be a
Yeah,
very
once you
cool
notice.
video to see somebody take a, a chance at learning that. So we got. Is this the torture machine? Death ride.
Death ride.
Pretty well named.
Yep. Most of
Toy
my
Story
parks
3
have a
ride.
death ride.
Right next to these lovely bumper boats.
Hmm. A
Oh
relatively
no,
normal
that
ride.
name.
And then we've got what's up with the dinosaurs? They're around the park. There's like dinosaur races and like carts pulled by dinosaurs.
Um,
What's
well, this is a fantasy park. In this region, it's more economic to keep raptors than horses.
that makes sense to me. So we got those raptors, and then over here we've got raptor races. People can come and watch.
Yeah, this part was also really difficult. Hey, if you want to, try clicking on the ground. You can probably select the track. Just change the color. You can make it visible.
Oh, the color.
No,
Oops.
yeah, the color. I didn't change the ride type. So you can see their path if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wanted to make them go back and forth kind of naturally. But I had to stop the tracks from merging. And of course, synchronized stations again. That was a huge pain.
We got this swinging suspended coaster. Oh, there's more raptors pulling carriages.
Yep, that's my transport ride. I got one.
And then this ride, we've got two different coaster tracks or two coasters chasing each other, going backwards and forwards.
Yes, I think this is my favorite ride I put here.
I do have a question about
It's
it.
my
Side
favorite
friction,
too.
right? Talking about the side
Yeah, it's
friction.
side friction.
How did you get it to work like that as one ride? You have the one going backwards and the one going forward, like how the faces their direction as they're going.
No track merges.
Yeah, also no merges. I noticed that too.
That's the secret. No merges because they divert at the end. So basically, I made the forward facing track normally. It started out as a normal ride, but for the backwards facing one, I did a bunch of bullshit. I alternated between dinghy slide pieces, banked track, lift hills, probably a few other things. Basically, the idea with that was to prevent it from merging because track merges if you use the same piece twice or once or whatever. I just made sure it was always out of sync, basically, in that way. And it does work, thankfully. Sometimes, if, like you saw with those cars over there, sometimes if one train doesn't have enough people, they sort of fuse into each other. That's pretty annoying. Apart from that, it works pretty well, I think.
And then around the park, you have ramps for everything. So there's stairs and ramps, correct?
hmm Yeah, my park is wheelchair accessible.
That's good to hear. And then, okay, so down here we've got tennis or pickleball.
Yeah. It's tennis. If you circle around, I put a very nice diagonal sign in front.
Oh, there you go, tennis courts. So they're sitting in invisible go karts. Wow, balls
That's a
bounce back and
compromise.
forth.
I wanted to use the mini golf sprites where they're just standing, but I could not get that to work with more than one vehicle. So this was the next best thing.
That's great.
It's
Are the
so
balls
cool.
the snowballs piece?
Yeah, the snowballs.
And then the last thing we've got is the RMC.
Yeah, there's a story with this one. By any chance, did any of you play on you remember Roller Coasters and Friends, RC and F? You ever play on their server parks back when they had those up?
I have not, no.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if anyone here was on that. I used to play on there. This is basically a layout I built on one of those parks. It was a free-for-all park. I really liked the layout, so I copied it over again. But I made a few changes for this one. Specifically, the first part of the ride is now backwards.
I didn't even notice the switchback. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, it's hidden.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Really cool windows on the diagonal, too.
Oh, why, thank you.
Is there like a dark ride section right now where they're all like freaking out in there?
Well, nothing I put in. I like to imagine there's like a projector or something.
It's a really good castle build as well.
And that inversion was from the original layout. I should come up with a name for it because I like it.
It's really cool. Well, Oh, yeah, the big giant building in the back. We almost forgot
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
right. That.
So what's going on back here? I took a look at it while we were looking at it earlier. We got like a fighter jet and then a lot of people part of the ministry. What's going on?
Yeah, so I like to imagine this park is run by an elite organization known as the Ministry of G-Forces. And they like to build weird bullshit, weird rides.
Well, I think you
So
nailed it.
basically, that's their headquarters.
It's a really nice building. It's even got some flashing windows. That's cool.
Yeah, that was kind of unintentional.
If you make
I'm
the
not sure-
windows the
oh.
color of the water on the map, they flash.
Oh, interesting.
That might be it. It might be if you put an invisible object behind a window. I think.
Yeah, when I made glass windows invisible to block supports on my last RCC, Wessie called it a glitch fest.
Okay.
It actually works. The effect works really well here. Some
Garden
carrots.
Farmhand raptors. That's so good. Okay, yeah. Any last comments about your park before we end the recording?
Great job. This is so much
you.
fun to go through.
Oh yeah.
Great park.
Yeah, definitely.